Welcome along to early morning dynamic yoga. One block, 2 breaks in the strap, and I'll start straight away coming into hero's pose. I'm going to take my time getting in. Just bringing the knees together. The feet are wider than the hips, and then I'm sitting gently down onto the block. All I really want to do is make sure that the sitting bones are actually attached to something. And slowly allow those knees to open up. They will be a little bit tight to start with, and the calf muscles will also be the same. And try to have the thighs together so you get a little bit more internal rotation through the thighs. And then after about a minute or so, where your body's kind of accepted what you've just done to it, we can start to roll the shoulders around. So we'll just take some nice, easy, gentle shoulder shrugs. You don't have to follow your breath. If you do naturally, that's great. But if your breathing is different to the shoulder shrug movements, that's okay for now. Sometimes we want to observe it. Sometimes we're not so bothered about it. Just really trying to make sure that the shoulders feel nice and open. So taking it easy, giving the muscles time to move and flow over each other. And also, if you notice that as you do this, there's a sort of a creaking and grating sounds coming from your shoulder blades, your shoulders, and your chest, you might need to think about rolling your shoulders around a bit more regularly, just to loosen them up, get a bit of oil in there. We'll take them in the opposite direction as well a few times. And noticing with interest whether that feels as easy to perform in your body as it was going in the opposite direction. And now we'll let the shoulders relax. Now take the right hand up and out, and just take the hand over to the left side here, and just draw the head down gently, and begin to allow the weight of the arm be taken up by the neck. We'll take a little stretch out to the side. And at the same time, trying very hard to relax that left shoulder. So kind of concentrate on letting that drop. And we'll slowly work our way over to the opposite side. And see how that feels. And again, making that big effort to let the shoulder release down. And we'll lift our way back up very gently. Coming off of the block, I'll just move that out to the side. And coming to child's pose, I'm going to stretch the legs out first, just to say hello to my knees and the toes. And then take those knees as wide apart as the mat will allow. Those together, going to sit down onto the heels. And then begin to let the chest come down into child's pose. And just easing our way in. And we'll take it into a side bend. I'm going to come over to the right side, so laying the left hand on top of the right. And bring the ribs right into the thigh. And we'll walk everything over to the other side. And place the right hand on top. I'm looking to enjoy that nice stretch on the long side of the body as you breathe in and out. Breath kind of emphasizing the stretch. You start feeling that a little bit in the hips as well. Most likely just tight muscles. And we'll loosen those off later on. We'll bring the head back up and coming through to the front of the mat again, we'll lift up onto all fours. We'll take a couple of rounds of cat-cow. Drawing the chest forwards, tailbone back, shoulder blades just rolling down towards the tailbone, and letting the neck follow the nice sort of crescent curve of the spine, so we're not pulling the head back too far. Drawing the belly in, pressing into the shins and the hands. Try and spread the fingers out as wide as you can, so get that biggest gap possible between the little finger and the thumb. Again, you can start to follow the breath here. And if you breathe the same as I do, which is pretty slow, your movements will be slow. You're a little bit faster breather, obviously you'll be moving quicker. You can also breathe completely the opposite way around. For some people, that will feel more natural. Now we're coming to a neutral. I'm going to tuck the toes underneath and into down dog. And I'm going to pedal the feet out a little bit. Get a little bit of movement into those feet and ankles. So I feel the hamstrings and the calves stretching as well. It's a slow pedal. Again, you could follow your breath if you wanted to with the movements, or you can be faster, but just generally a nice easy pace. Working on pressing the hips back, so plenty of work through the arms, lifting those hips up and back, belly drawn in. Okay, I'm going to walk the hands towards the feet. We're coming into the back of the mat, into a standing forward bend. So keeping the fingertips on the floor, bending the knees enough for that to happen, belly on the thighs. Let the spine hang out a little bit. Even with a considerable bend in the legs, the hamstrings will be firing up and working. And we still get the nice opportunity to let the spine absorb gravity and stretch itself out, which is what we want to do. And try and keep that spine nice and loose and relaxed. We'll move this into a chair pose. So I'm going to squat down even deeper, keeping the ribs and the thighs together. And slowly take the hands away from the floor. So bringing the hands gently in line with the body resting on the thighs there. And I'm going to keep the bottom where it is and lift the torso about halfway up. Keeping the tummy muscles activated and drawn in, just to help support the lower back. Try and relax the shoulders out a little bit. Last breath. Allow yourself to lift up. We'll take it into the smallest of back bends. And then bring the hands in towards the heart. And exhale down to the floor. And let the hands come onto the shins halfway up, drawing forwards into a half forward bend. And back down to the floor. Into the fuller version. We'll come up onto the shins again. Fold it down. Onto the shins one more time. And back down to the floor. And walk the hands in towards the front of the mat. So we're going to pass through down dog and then start to come up on the tiptoes, straight legs, walking feet, tiny steps, a few inches at a time into the front of the mat. So eventually, for a period, we will be on the front end of the mat with the toes and the fingers aligned. A little bit of waddling to adjust for the genetics of your body. Bring the hands onto the hips and allow yourself to lift up slowly. We'll take the hands high on the breath in. Bring them through the heart. And exhale down to the floor. Going to have a fingertip lift. Drawing the chest forwards and then the legs open a little more. Hold it down again. Take another breath and send your left foot back into a lunge. On the fingertips, relax the shoulders, ribs against that front thigh. And pressing out through the heels so that back leg is nice and straight. Press out through the heel enough so you can start to feel the buttock on that left side start to engage and lift. No loose buttocks today. And take a little breath from here. Drop the heel onto the center line. We're going to come into warrior two. Now you can bring the hands onto the front thigh if you want to be a little easier on the spine. Or draw the hands along the body. And then lift a little as you float the left arm out. And drive through the bottom foot to lift into your warrior two. Pay a little bit of attention, pressing the feet down into the floor and feeling the groins open. Try your best to have the hands the same height from the floor. And looking out through that middle finger on the front hand. Take one more breath here. And then we'll use the next in-breath to lift the hands high and lengthen out slowly over the front leg, bringing the hands back down to the floor. And we'll step carefully back into down dog. And then we'll come forwards into a plank. Going to push forwards on the tiptoes, keeping the hips high, letting the ribs come in to the elbows, and then lifting on the exhale into that up dog. We'll take the breath in, use the hips to lift up, roll over the toes into down dog. And bring the left knee in towards the chest and exhale the foot through. Try and align the toes and the fingers onto the fingertips. Again, pressing out through the back heel. Feeling the groin and the buttock lifting on the right leg this time. We're going to push off the toes into a forward bend. Exhaling. Bring the hands onto the hips and a slow lift up. We're going to take that to the opposite side. Again, a nicely slow, considered salutation. We'll move down to the floor. Inhale onto the fingertips. Drawing the body forwards. Exhaling down. Breath in. Right leg goes back. Into the lunge. We'll drop the heel in to the center line. We're going to lift again. And then press down evenly through both feet. So trying to get the weight to feel like it's even through the entire foot, front and back, which requires you to press down. And so you're going to feel the thighs and the groins kind of lifting and engage. We're not just sitting in the joints, we're getting the muscles to work. Got to use more oxygen as well. Bring a little more heat into the body. Lift the hands high. Rotate out towards the front of the mat. Exhaling down. Step it back gently into that down dog. Adjust as you need to. Forwards into the plank. Half plank. Inhale all the way up, rolling the shoulders, keeping the legs strong for up dog. Roll it back gently, or stepping over the toes, whichever is easier for you. And we'll draw the right knee in, bring that foot through. Again, up onto the fingertips. And then push off the toes. So that's forward bend. Hands onto the hips. Long spine lifting up. So inhale. We're going to add a little onto that and speed it up as well. Exhaling down. Fingertips for the lift. Forward in. Stepping back with the left leg. Left hand to the floor will allow the right hand to lift into the twist. Bring that back down to the floor. Take it across to the opposite side. Try and keep the heel pressing out towards the back of the mat and skybound. Hand comes back down to the floor. Then we can drop the heel in. We'll lift easily into that warrior two. One exhale. Take one breath here. Exhale it out. Inhale it up. And exhale out to the front again. And stepping back into down dog. One breath. Use the exhale to come forwards into your half plank. Try not to go too low. Roll it back into your up dog. And back into your down dog. One breath here. Left knee into the chest and foot through. One breath here as you press out through the heel and step it into the front of the mat. Hands onto the hips. And we'll lift up on the inhale all the way to the sky. Take it into the opposite side. Lifting up. Hold it down. Take a breath. Right leg back into lunge. Right hand down, left hand lift into a twist. Bring the hand back down to the floor. Cross over to the opposite side. Down to the floor. Drop the heel in. Hands alongside. Slowly take the right hand forwards and up. Take a breath. Inhale the hands high. Exhale it out to the front of the mat and down. Step it back into down dog. Come forwards into plank. half plank to up dog. Roll it back into the down dog. Draw the right knee through. Foot to the front of the mat. Step it forwards. Hands onto the hips. And we'll lift up. The hands high. Bring the hands into the heart. Let yourself pause there for a moment to take a breath. And then I'll remember to turn the email system off so it stops pinging in my ears. Which will be a nice thing to do. That should be a little quieter now. We're back on the front end of the mat. Again, we'll just add a little more onto that. So we'll take the hands high. Bring the hands in towards the heart. Exhale down to the floor. Fingertip lift. Hold it down. Take a breath. Left leg back. The left hand to the floor, right hand to the lift for the twist. Strong back leg. Hand comes down to the floor. Cross it over to the opposite side. A little bit trickier for the rotation in the spine and the hips. Dropping the back heel in. Allow ourselves to lift slowly into warrior two. Inhale, hands high. And we'll bring them down onto the inside of this front toe. Spin the back heel. Allow the back knee down to the floor. Untuck the toes. Spin the front foot out to 45 degrees. Let the knee hang out to the side a little bit. As you draw your right arm up, we'll take that towards the back of the mat. And we're simply going to place the hand palm down into the base of the spine. Now try to let the hips sink a little whilst you're lifting your chest towards the sky. Press into the back shin, just a fraction. Should kind of be able to feel that through your fingertips, your glute activating. Last breath in. We'll bring the hands back over. We'll spin the foot and bring ourselves back, hands either side, framing the front foot. We'll step back into down dog. Take a breath. Come forwards into the plank. Half plank. Up dog. Roll it back into the down dog. Draw the knee in towards the chest as we exhale the foot through. Front of the mat. Push off the back toes. Forward bend. Hands onto the hips and let ourselves lift up. Inhale high. Hands through the heart. And exhale down to the floor. Fingertips for the lift. Hold it down. Right leg to the back of the mat. Take a little breath. Allow ourselves to get the right hand on the ground. Left hand into the twist. Bring it back down to the floor. Take it across the other side. Bring the hand down. Drop the heel in. Lift into our warrior two. Slowly drawing our way up. Inhale high. Lengthen out slowly. Hands onto the inside of the front leg. Spin the heel. Drop the back knee as far away as you can. Spin the front toes out to the side. Let the knees begin to hang. That left hand go forwards and up. And then gently bring the hand onto the base of the spine. Again, let the hips hang. Roll the top shoulder up and over. Press down strong through the bottom hand. Press into the back shin a little bit. Now we'll lift the hand back up, turn the front foot, frame foot as we bring the hands down. Allow ourselves to step back into that down dog. Come forwards into the plank, half plank, and to push on the toes. Inhale it up. Roll it back gently. Down dog. Breath here. Bring the right knee in, foot through, the lunge. On the exhale, stepping forwards into the fold, hands onto the hips. Allow ourselves to lift up. So hopefully the legs are feeling a little more warmed up in the hips. We'll take the hands high again. Hands through the heart. We'll work our way into triangle pose. Hinge at the hips, drawing the belly in. This time we're going to take it straight into the lunge. Bending the left foot back. Dropping the heel in. We'll bring the hands to the inside of the front leg. And take the left hand onto the hip as you turn your chest out to the side. Ease that left hand to the sky, 12 o'clock bound. And then press into the front leg to lift the hand away from the floor. Just going to tap that onto the inside of the shin, so you can press the back of your hand into the side of the shin very lightly to help rotate the chest around a little more. And I'll start from the front knee into our warrior two. Inhale the hands high. Rotate out towards the front of the mat, down to the floor. Bend the heel towards the sky into the lunge. And step it forwards to the front of the mat again. We'll take it to the second side and lift up slowly. Inhale the hands high. Through the heart. And exhale down to the floor. We'll take a breath and send the right leg back. Allow ourselves to drop the heel in. Bring the hands onto the inside. Right hand onto the hip. We turn the body. Spend a little time just letting the spine kind of work its way around and the hips get organized. And then inhale when you're ready. That right hand high. Slowly exhale. Straightening the front leg away from the floor so you get a little bit of lift of the body. You feel the weight of your torso. Pressing down through both feet evenly. Start from the front knee into warrior two. Inhale the hands high. Now lengthen out over the front thigh again. Back heel lifts into a nice easy lunge. And just pushing gently forwards. On the exhale into that fold. Hands onto the hips. And let ourselves lift up. Take the breath high on the inhale. Hands through the heart. And exhale down to the floor. Going to send the left foot back into the lunge and drop the heel in. And bring the hands alongside the body and open up into warrior two. Straighten the front leg, sending the hips back a little. Triangle pose. As we lengthen out. Bring one hand down to the floor. Take a breath. Extend the top hand out towards the front of the mat. Turning the chest up. One more breath. Then bring both hands down on the inside. Allow the back knee to come down to the floor again. Untuck the toe on the back foot as you spin the front foot out lightly. Right hand comes forwards and up. And this time we'll take the toes in and see how the hamstring enjoys that. Release. So we're going to bring the hands onto the inside of the front leg again. As you spin the front foot, lift the back knee, pressing out through the heel. Walk your fingers around along the side of the mat, turning the toes in. We'll take a moment just to adjust to get the heels as far out as we can. And then allow ourselves to fold from the hips. And we'll lift back up. Walk the fingers gently through to the front of the mat. We're into a lunge again. Once you're stable, allow yourself to step into that forward bend. Hands onto the hips. And lift up slowly. Now I have moved slightly from the front of the mat, so I'm going to move back. Get the hands high. Bring the hands through the heart. And exhale down to the floor. Bending the right foot back and dropping the heel in. I'm going to open into my warrior two. Slowly straighten the front leg. Lengthen out. Into my triangle. Then in top palm, extend the hand out to the front of the mat. Now your arm is kind of level with your ear, by the side of your ear. Turn the chest as much as you can towards the sky. Comes from the base of the spine, really. Start from the front knee. Bring both hands down to the floor. Just drop the back knee down to the floor. Make space if you need to. Spin the front foot. Make it a little easier for the knee to hang out. And then that left hand comes up as you breathe in. And as it goes back, let's see if we can lift the foot in. Just draw the heel gently towards us. Release it back down to the floor. Hands come on the inside. Back knee lifts. We walk around to the long side again. Turning the toes in, heels out. Take a little breath from there. Just a micro bend in the knees. Let ourselves lift up this time. And take the hands behind your back. Interlace your fingers. And see if you can then keep the chest nice and open. Also long, flat, hinge from the hips again, coming down. And as your head bobs towards the floor, actually you can take the hands towards the ceiling. And then maybe a little towards the long side of the mat. Now we're actually going to ease the hands back down to the hips and then to the floor. So we can walk the fingers around gently to the front of the mat again. We're into that lunge. Take a breath. We'll brush off the toes into that forward bend. Take a little breath, hands onto the hips, and let ourselves lift up. Inhale the hands high. We're going to step back into down dog. So easing your way down, and then taking either foot into the back of the mat. And we're going to take a belly flop into the floor. So we'll come forwards into plank and just bend the elbows. Exhaling down to the ground. Untucking the toes. I'm going to take the feet now as wide as the mat. So I'm going to use my toes to kind of find the edges. And then take a little breath and bring the hands alongside the body, palms facing down. Locus pose on the inhale. We're just going to do the chest and the arms to lift up, keeping the thighs on the floor, and exhaling down. Lift up again. And exhale down. We take 5 of these all together. So heels rolling out, bootlaces down. Make space in that lower back for you to lift into. We'll take the last of these lifts. And then we're going to take 5, bringing the thighs and the chest and hands away from the floor. So a little squeeze of the shoulder blades together, perhaps a little easier in this version. Inhaling up. Using the soft exhale to come down. So trying to move with your breath. So it's a slow, even movement. So imagine that your movement and your breath are a little bit like when you turn the tap on and the water comes out, a nice consistent flow. That's what we're looking for. We'll take one final lift. And then bring the hands to the bottom of the ribs. I'm going to press away from the floor to lift back up. Bring the knees forwards, together again. Take the feet wide, back into that hero's pose. Just going to use the block again for a moment to sit. And let the shoulders roll back. So I'll work gently a little more into the upper back, middle upper back region. Just taking the hands behind and squeezing the shoulder blades together, drawing hands down. Going to let the chest lift. So it feels like it's really from sort of the middle of my ribs where the arch of our back is starting to work from. And I'm going to let the head feel like it's following. I'm not dropping it down. I'm actually going to lengthen the neck out. Definitely feeling that around the chest and into the bottom of the neck. Last breath in. And use the exhale to bring myself back up. Right. I'm going to move the block out of the way again and come up onto all fours. I'm going to thread the needle. I'm going to take the right hand out to the side and then inhale, rotate the body to the outside edge. Fold the arm underneath on the exhale and bring the shoulder and ear to the ground. Now, assuming that you can reach the floor with your shoulder and ear and press into the ground to get some support, you can then take the other hand away from the floor and lift up towards the sky. But if your shoulder and ear are not on the ground, keep your hand on the ground for that little bit of support. You don't crush your neck. Take a last breath in. Bring the hand back down to the floor. Use your exhale to press away from the ground. And on the inhale, we'll go across the opposite side. So just opening the chest up. And then that beautiful rotation through the spine. All the way back down. Press into the floor. Same rules apply. Now, you might even find that you can do that on one side, but not on the other. So be careful. Bring the hand back down to the floor. Less away from the ground. We'll take the right side again. Inhaling up. Bring that down. Make sure we get a little bit of support. Rotate and take the left hand up. If you can, shins press into the floor lightly. Bring the hand back down. Use the exhale to lift. Inhale to the opposite side. Blow it through. Inhale. Right hand lifts. Hand comes down. Press away from the floor. We'll take it final time. To the left. Bring that through. Right hand lifts. Coming back down. And we'll take the right hand this time. Fold that under. Inhale high. Hand comes down. And press away from the floor. Now I'm going to spin the feet out to the side and come down to our bottom. I'm going to take my 2 bricks. I'm going to have them about halfway down the mat by the side and a strap on the other side. And I'm going to take my block and just put that towards the back end of the mat a little bit as well. So feet high, sorry, knees high, feet on the floor. That's a better way to work. I'm going to walk my bottom towards my heels. And then just bending the arms gently. Allow the spine to come back down. So hopefully my legs are in a position where my shins are pretty much vertical. And I'm just going to lay down on the floor. Take the block between the hands just above your chest. Now on the exhale, allow yourself to place the block on edge, that's the narrow side, to the floor behind you. So this is arms reach out. And then bring your hands back alongside your body. I'm going to turn the heels out a little bit, close in. I'm going to move into bridge pose. So I'm going to draw the belly down and lower back into the floor, curling the tailbone away from the ground and press gently into the legs to lift and a little in towards the arms and the shoulders. And once I've lifted as high as I can, I'm going to slowly inhale the hands up towards the sky and exhale my hands gently behind me to the floor. Then see if I can find the block between my hands. Inhale the hand, block up above my chest. Exhale it back to the floor gently. Edge on. Stabilize it, let it release. Bring the hands back up. Down towards the sides of the body. And then roll the spine into the floor. So that's the first one. Second one is going to be slightly different again. We're going to let ourselves lift the tailbone first, using those tummy muscles. Pressing down through the feet. Try not to let the knees flare out. Want to keep those thighs parallel. We'll inhale the hands high. You want to go a little wider than your shoulders because you know the block is there. You don't want to bounce into it. You bring the hands onto the block. Lift it up towards the sky. Exhale it back gently on the breath. And then as you release, leave the hands behind this time, palms facing up, and roll the spine gently down to the floor until the tailbone comes to the ground. And then you can lift your hands up, minus a block, and bring them back alongside your body. On the exhale, tuck the tailbone under and lift up again. We're going to press the knees forwards a little bit and down. We'll come up onto the tiptoes so the heels lift away from the ground as the hands come up. They move towards the back of the mat. And find the block. Inhale, block above the chest. And roll it back down to the floor. Let it go, release, arms to the sky, roll the spine down, keeping the heels lifted until your tailbone has reached the floor. And then bring the heels down and the hands alongside your body. We'll take a breath there and roll the spine back up into our bridge. Inhale the hands high, let them float back. Nice and wide, then bring it back in, find the block. Inhale it up as you lift up onto your tiptoes. Let the block move back to the floor. Release, let the palms face up. Roll the spine into the ground. And then bring the heels to the floor. Inhale the hands up. We'll take that one final time. Rolling into our bridge. Inhaling the hands and coming onto the tiptoes. Letting the hands drift behind on the exhale. Palms come in. We lift the block. Lifting the hips. We'll bring the block to the back of the mat again. Release gently, palms up. Roll the spine down for the final time. And then when inhale that block, just bring the block underneath the back of the head. And wriggle out through the hips a little bit from side to side. Now, I've got my 2 bricks to the outside on my left side of my hip, and it's more or less in line with the hip joint. I'm going to use that in a little bit. I'm going to take the strap, unravel that, and take it around the left foot. And I'm going to try and bind the strap around the foot across that big toe, little toe joint. I'm going to lift the chest up towards the knee and reach the hand out so I get a bind with the fist as close to the foot as I can with the leg straight. I'm going to ease the body back down, which will hopefully have brought the leg a little closer to me. Maybe it's got a bit of a bend in it as well, but don't worry about that. I'm going to take the right hand out to the side and just allow myself a little bit of time to draw the hips down, press the heel up, flex the toes towards me, draw the shoulder back a little bit on that left side. Just lift it up around your ear. You want to kind of bring it back into a more neutral feeling. And that might mean adjusting the strap a little bit as well. Now, very gently, I'm going to allow my toes to walk my right foot forwards until I can't do that any longer. And then I'm just going to see if I can slide the heel out. Now, I want those toes pointing up towards the sky and hopefully get the heel and the calf on the floor. Immediately, I'm starting to feel more of a stretch in both legs from doing that. On the next exhale, I'm beginning to slowly, over several breaths, allow the left leg to hang out to the side with the idea of actually getting my leg to reach either the 2 bricks which are on top of each other, which could have been a bolster. Now, if you know that you can get your leg a long way out, that's fine. You can obviously allow yourself to work with that. But rather than just letting yourself focus on the leg that's out to the left, try to think about drawing your right hip and the back of the right side pelvis down to the ground. It would have lifted a little bit just because of the weight of your leg. If you're very mobile, you might have lifted away a long way and you kind of rolled over to the side. You just want to prevent that from happening. Ideally, the block is pressing into the back of the thigh, the outside edge. Using 1 brick or 2. If you could use 3. Now we are trying to press out through the heel still, through the leg that's out to the side, just as it was when it was up towards the sky. The foot is still flexed, still using that arm and shoulder to present a little bit of resistance to work into. Now we'll see if we can use the arm and the leg together to lift up. It's slower than you think it's going to be. And you realize how heavy your legs are. They come back up. And as you draw your right foot back in, you can release the left foot back down to the floor. So you know what the game is now. We're going to take the block over to the blocks over to the opposite side. Line them up nicely. And we take the right foot up towards the sky. And then lift the chest. Take the hand high. Get a nice good bind. Take a little bit of time to get that. It feels super comfortable. And then let yourself relax back down on the floor. Now you want to take a little bit of time to make sure that your left foot is in a position where your knee is pointing directly up towards the sky. It's not feeling like it's hanging out to the side or off center a little bit. You want to be more thinking about a neutral central line. And we can take the left arm out to the side. I prefer palm up. Find that a little easier in the chest. Remember, we're pressing through the heel towards the sky just a little bit, and the foot is flexed. And we use the toes. Left foot walks out, close to the center line. Going to slide the heel for the last bit. Again, aiming for calf and the heel on the floor and pressing that hip left backside down. And then using your exhales. So you could pause as you inhale if you wish. Let the leg on the right side drop out. Now, depending on how close you have the bricks in towards your leg, again, that can affect the height you can get. So if you can, try to work to pretty much the same distance on each side. I know that this side of my body is a little bit sticky today, so I'm taking a bit higher on this side than I did on the previous leg side, but not a huge amount. Still pressing out through both legs. We've got about less than half a minute to go. Try and keep the shoulders relaxed on the floor. And we'll begin to use the arm and the leg together. Lift up. And draw the left leg in. Allow the right leg to come down. Untangle the straps. Move the bricks out to the side, out of the way. And we're going to bring the knees together, feet close in towards the body, but as wide as the mat. So we're using the little toe to find the edges. A little TP through the legs. And then once you're ready, you're going to let the legs roll over towards my left. So the feet are just going to roll onto the side edge. And see if I can let the bottom leg reach all the way to the floor. So in some degree, letting that release down with the shoulders flat on the ground still. And then pressing the top knee down gently, which is my right leg. So that I can gradually feel some work in the muscles. And you get that sort of little shake and tremble when your legs aren't used to moving in a direction or any part of your body. Kind of a sort of muscular control, trying to work out how to actually do this. Yeah, I know the joints will work, but I can't work out which muscles to use. That little shaking sensation may increase or decrease depending on how quickly your body adjusts. And then we'll release and let the legs come back up. And reset. And take it out the opposite way. Again, we're going to let the bottom leg try and open. And then we begin to press the top thigh down, just that little bit. And then we'll bring ourselves back up. We're ready for Shavasana. Use the toes just to continue walking the feet out towards the edges of the mat on the fronts. And bring the hands alongside the body. Now today I'm just going to let the fingertips rest across the navel, slightly interlaced. Loosen the jaw, closing the eyes, and just let yourself breathe. And begin to breathe a little deeper, wriggling the fingers and toes. Allow the wrists and ankles to move a little as we reconnect. Taking a longer breath in, going to use that to stretch out any way that feels good. And slide the heels along the ground towards you. So you can lift the knees gently one at a time towards your body. Just taking the hands around the outside of the shins. A very gentle hug, so keeping the spine nice and flat, easy on the knees and hips. You're not gritting the teeth at all. This is a nice passive, just rock and roll from side to side. And when you're ready, we're going to roll on to the right side and use the hands to press down into the floor. Lift on the exhale. So using our body to work easily with the spine, we come back up to sitting. We'll bring the hands in towards our heart as we take a breath in, closing the eyes. Begin to exhale slowly, letting the chin drop. And finding the belly drawn to the spine, we simply bow to the floor to seal our practice. As the breath comes back into the body, build the spine for us, we'll lift the head, with the eyes open. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me this morning. Hope you enjoyed. Happy New Year. See you again soon.